Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Angela Olfest, otherwise known as VoiceOver Angela. In this podcast, we talk about my adventures in freelancing, my voiceover business, and everything else in between. Let's get started. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again today for another live Q&A session. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your burning questions in these weekly Q&A sessions. If you're not new here, then you know that every week I have a new poll that I like to just pick your brains about every week. And this week, the poll question is, do you have a dedicated space and the equipment for recording audiobooks? Because they're both important. Because as you know, I laugh because I'm always remembering these, on social media where you see somebody go, oh, make $1,000 in your PJs with your iPhone. No. As you may know, it doesn't work that way. So let's see what everybody says. And it's okay if you don't yet. I mean, everybody starts from the same place, right? 0. So I'm just curious to see where everybody's at. So it looks like 21 votes so far. And for some reason, it looks like my intro is still playing on YouTube. Why is that? Very interesting. Why is that doing that? Looks like I'm live on Facebook, but not on YouTube. Very interesting. Okay, well, I hope you guys can see me and hear me because it looks like my intro is still playing on YouTube, which is strange. But I hope you guys can see and hear me. If you can, let me know. It looks like I'm on Facebook, but not on YouTube. Very interesting. Okay, well, 22 votes so far. You're live on YouTube. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. I don't know why on my end I can still see the intro, which is weird. Anyway, 22 votes. Okay. 82% of you said yes. 5% of you said no. And 14% of you said not yet, but working on it. Cool. Okay, cool. So what we're doing today is we're talking about the kind of equipment that you do need to record audiobooks. I think one of the most important aspects of audiobook recording is your space, is the recording space that you have. Because having a dedicated, and I say dedicated, meaning that once you are set up, it doesn't move, right? Nothing moves. Your chair hopefully doesn't move. Your mic placement where it sits doesn't move. Nothing in your room will change because you want to keep the overall sound of each file in that audiobook consistent sounding, right? And sometimes even a subtle change, like even for the better, right? Like if you were to discover that you had something creating echo in your room, and then you decided to drape all of your walls in moving blankets, as I have done in here, then that's going to reduce the echo and change the sound a little bit. So you want to have a place where you can dedicate, it'll be your dedicated recording space. So it's treated. Everything in it is the same from file to file to file to keep the sound and quality consistent throughout the file. And even a subtle mic placement change can change the sound of your audiobook recording. See, if I'm sitting here, you hear me just fine, right? But if I move way over here or way over here, you might not, the audio quality changes, right? So you want to have a dedicated, treated recording space, so the quality of the sound does not change. The mic that you choose is also important. I think, and a lot of people don't agree with me, and that's okay, because I started the exact same way. So I'm going to tell you I think, okay to start out with a USB mic. But if you decide to start or to stay with audiobook narration, you should definitely consider investing in an XLR mic, which does require an interface. And the interface's job is to essentially transform the microphone's language into a signal that your computer can then put into your DAW, whereas the USB mic sort of has that technology within it. So it's pretty much plug and play, right? But the XLR mic takes an additional piece of equipment to work, but you do get a better sound from an XLR mic and an interface. What else? Headphones. You'll definitely want to use headphones, I think, because as you're listening back, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. As audiobook narrators, we are also the producer, meaning that we also not only have to narrate the words, but we also need to edit and master the files as well. And in order to edit and master, you want to have a good set of headphones to be able to hear the ambient noise in your room and any mouth clicks or dogs barking next door or people walking above you, the TV on in the next room. You want to be able to hear that. Because as you may already know, once you master the file, that brings up the overall volume of everything. So all of those things that may not have been heard with normal earbuds or just cheap pair of headphones, you might not have heard to start with. So you want a good set of headphones to be able to hear all of that stuff as you're editing and mastering your files. What else am I forgetting, guys? And a computer, of course. I think you could start out with a computer. I think most laptops and things come with at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, although I think I have seen some with 4. You do want a computer that's got decent amount of processing power, especially if you decide to stay with voiceover and audiobook narration, because you might come into some situations where you're going to need to process files and then move on to something else as those are processing. So you want to have enough RAM or computing power to keep all of these things going at one time. Time will be of the essence at some point. So, and then if you do have a laptop, I do recommend, if you can, to move it as far away from your microphone or your dedicated space as possible, because most computers have fans and things that make noise internally. And of course, your microphone will pick that up, right? Same thing to be said in something to think about when you're choosing that dedicated recording space, right? Are you away from major streets or from the neighbor's wall that plays loud music all day long? You know, some things to consider in choosing a dedicated space as well. I personally have had to go to Amazon and get lots of longer cords for everything because my computer is outside of this room. So I had to have extra long cables to run everything I need it to run under the door and into this room. So there are those if you need extra long cables and things to be able to move your computer away from your mic. But that's highly recommend that, because as you know, recording audiobooks, we have certain standards for the files to contend with. And one of those is the noise floor. And usually it's the computer or something in your room that is generating a loud enough hum to make your noise floor a little too high, right? I found that out the hard way. So I'm telling you, move everything that makes noise as far away from your mic as you can. Tangent number 1. But necessary, right? Because that's what we're talking about is audiobook equipment today. All right. Let's go to the comments and see who's here. It seems to be working today. Fabulous. Okay. Well, all right. Let's go over. Okay, there it goes. God, what a weird day, right? Weird times we're in. Okay. First in, let's see if this works. All right, cool. We're on a roll. Chris VGL. Thank you to everyone in the last week's live. The encouragement helped a ton. I was able to read chapter 1 and keep going up until chapter 9. Good. Then I realized before starting chapter 2, the record volume was too low. Oh no, continued. Okay. I set it up a level and recorded chapter 2 through 9. Today I re-recorded chapter 1 for the 7th time. Oh no. Only 5 more chapters to go, and my first book will be ready for edit. Couldn't have done it without your encouragement. Well, I think I speak for everyone here, and there's 32 of us, it looks like, that say congratulations, and we're proud of you. We knew you had it in you. It's just a matter of doing it, right? Punching fear in the face and doing it. Great. Mark Flores, good morning, Angela. I do audiobooks here and there, but working on optimizing some processes so I can be more efficient with them. Since I plan on making them a big focus on my voiceover business. Easy for you to say. Well, good. I think audiobooks aren't for everyone because they are a lot of work. They are a marathon, and some voice actors I have found will do one or the other, but rarely both, I think. I could be wrong, but just from my personal experience, I find that not all voice actors want to do audiobooks because they are so time consuming. But I personally do both. I think a lot of what I do is audiobooks. I'd say a good 60 to 70% of my business is audiobooks. So, but yeah, that's good. Well, hopefully we can help you with that. Pamela says, happy Valentine's. Cupid left jelly bellies for me. Love the little critter. That's sweet. My Valentine just brought me home some roses and some salted caramel brownies and a nice card. It was great. That's good. Brianna, I hope I'm saying that right. Good morning. Funny you should ask. I just completed my recording space this past weekend. Good for you. I'm so excited to be watching from my new space. That's awesome. Just remember to do some test recordings in your new space. Do some test recordings, listen back. You're listening for echo. You're listening for the sound quality, right? Can you hear the neighbors next door, right? Can you hear someone walking above you? Listen for all of those things as you're doing your test recordings and then make the necessary adjustments as you go. Paul Shearman, hello, good morning. I finally made it here during the live Q&A. Glad to have you. I've been following along with the recorded ones for months. Plus, I just went to week 2 of my weekly VO class. Good for you. Glad to be here, and thanks for all you do. Well, thank you for watching. Because if you guys didn't stop by and watch, then there'd be no point in me sitting here talking to myself. But I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad we can all talk today. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, hi, Angela. Happy to see you. I'm glad you're here, Tiffany. I was wondering, did you work a full-time job when you started VO? And if so, how did you schedule your time around the job? That is definitely something that is another aspect that is very important in audiobook creation. I think in just starting a business like voiceover, period, is time management, right? Because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard. And yes, I was employed full-time. I was an inventory manager for a BMW dealership when I retired from the automotive industry. And I was doing VO and audiobooks for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years by the time I retired from the corporate world. It got to the point where I was losing too much voiceover business by being employed for someone else. So that's when I decided to make the jump. But yes, I feel you. I was employed full-time, parent, right? So you have to make time for all of these things. And yes, I did sacrifice quite a bit of time with my family in the beginning. And bless their hearts, they put up with me. But they knew what my goal was and what I was trying to do. And I was so lucky and thankful to have these very supportive and understanding people in my life. But once I got to the point where I've started to work full time, and I have been for the end of this month will be 3 years that I've been full time doing this. I've had more time to be with them, to take the kiddo to school, to pick him up, spend more time just being with the people that I love. So it's definitely something to look forward to once you get to that point where you can do that, right? But time management is definitely difficult. I have found, and I have said this a million times, and I apologize if your ears are bleeding about it, but I do have an agenda book that I have used that has definitely helped to keep me on top of things and to remember things. and to sort of block out hours of my day in which I have to do chapters, 5 through 8 of this book, and then, just to keep me moving ahead on all of my projects. So that has definitely helped in time management, but that is it. Yeah, I definitely had to sacrifice some nights and weekends away from family and things that I should have been doing, right, to keep my business moving forward. But just know that that is in most cases, it's a temporary thing until you get to the point where you're comfortable to be on your own and do this full time. And then the time is yours. And then you really need to schedule things out to make sure that you're on top of things. Because as a business owner, as you know, you wear many hats. So you're not only recording and doing the voiceover part, but you're also marketing, you're also social media, you're also keeping up with many other things. So time management is always going to be a thing to stay on top of, for sure. Mark says, I do other longer form narration work, but audiobooks are different, especially when it comes to formatting for ACX. And I will say that formatting for ACX does get easier as you go along and you practice and you find more shortcuts, macro steps. You can find ways to make them micro with shortcuts and things like that, with rack presets if you have Adobe Audition. There's, as you go along, you'll discover many ways to shorten the process, right? To get your narration to editing ratio down to close to 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, hours. So as you go along, it does get easier. All that to say, it does get easier as you go along. Sally says, good morning from Pensacola. Good morning, Sally. Gregory says, hi, Angela. I just wanted to tell you I am grateful for all you do for us newbies. It's tough to audition on these sites without pay to play. Any suggestions? Well, I would say if you don't want to, let me just say, Gregory, that auditioning never ends. It never ends, right? You might get to the point where if you're marketing yourself consistently in the way that you choose to market yourself, you may have to not do as many auditions. The work may find its way to you. But the auditioning is something that is just, soliciting people for business is just a business thing, right? It's something that needs to be done to keep your business afloat. It never really ends. But pay-to-play sites, although some of them are a little bit more difficult than others, they are a great way to sort of keep busy also while you are still marketing yourself and your business also, right? There isn't any way around them, unfortunately. And then at some point you'll have agents and such, but still you will be on these pay-to-play sites because there are the jobs. And I think a lot more companies are going to these pay-to-plays instead of agents, actually, to sort of cut them out and go straight to, well, the pay-to-plays become agents, right? They don't directly come to you as an agent would, unless I guess they would email you when a job is available, I suppose. But pay-to-plays, there's really no way around them. But in addition to those, market yourself as well. Okay, everybody's saying you are on YouTube. Great, 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 great. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Phil says, hey, Angela, what's new? Nothing much. Just trucking. Just keep doing the same. Same. Nothing really new. Barb. Hi, Barb. Hi, Angela. Generally, when narrating 10 per finished hour audiobooks as a new person, how much work is logical to commit yourself to? What about shorter books, 3, 4, 5 per finished hour books? I say whatever you're comfortable and you have the time and wherewithal to do. If you want to do a 10-hour per finished hour book, right? Or even a 10-hour royalty share book, it's your prerogative. If you have the time and ability to do it, then do it. But just make sure that obviously the longer the books are, the more time you're going to need to narrate, edit, and format them. So just make sure that you have the time you need to get them done. But I wouldn't say no to a 10-hour audiobook. It's just going to take more time to finish, right? But a nice mix of those would be good. I think work is work. So, but I wouldn't say don't do a certain don't do a 36-hour book. I mean, heck, do it. Just give yourself the time to do it, right? Mark Flores says, getting a dog clicker for marking the mistakes was a game changer. I seriously went a year yelling cut to mark the mistakes. It's all right. I mean, some people even just, snap their fingers or cluck their tongue or clap even to mark mistakes. Unless you do the punch and roll, which is another way of editing sort of while you're recording. I'm just not coordinated enough for for punch and roll. I'd rather just click, stay in the moment and move on, because I'm going to go back through the file anyway, just to make sure that everything sounds right, that I didn't miss anything. There was no cuts or blips in the DAW, dogs next door, anything in there that I didn't catch while I was recording. So, clicking doesn't really bug me. Just keep in mind that if you have dogs at home that were trained using a dog clicker, that every time you mark a mistake, you might have a pup come running at you. But other than that, a dog clicker, I think, it worked for me, and I'm glad it worked for you too. Paul says, I travel a lot and I'm always looking for ways to be mobile. I have a mobile booth with PVC and moving blankets. I like VO as I can travel, but I'm challenged with being mobile. It is a trade-off. Yeah, and having having travel gear, like a travel kit that travels well, is definitely going to be something that you'll need to have too, for the microphone, the interface, a stand of some sort to hold the microphone so you're not trying to hold it while you're narrating under your pillow fort in your hotel room. So those are things to definitely consider. But you're right. This is one of those businesses where you could travel. Although if you're in the middle of an audiobook, I wouldn't, although I have heard of some people doing that, but I wouldn't recommend traveling in the middle of an audiobook because, of course, as I mentioned before, your space may change throughout, recording each file, which might result in a different sounding, chapter 1 from chapter 6. But I don't think most people would probably pick up on that unless it was like a vast difference in recording space. But if you're under like pillows and blankets while you're recording, it probably won't sound too much different. Yeah. Veritas Ante Omnia. Cool name. Hi, Angela. Just wondering if you wear headphones for self-monitoring while you record. I find that it helps me get immersed, although I sound different on playback, but I get used to that. I don't wear them when I record. It feels constricting and like claustrophobic to me. So no, I only put them on while I'm editing or if I'm like in a Zoom meeting with somebody, but no, I don't wear them. I don't self-monitor with headphones. It just makes me feel like tied down. I can't do it. Terry Stewart. Hey, Angela, listening in from Scotland. Well, good evening, good afternoon there for you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Cool. We're in Scotland. Sally says, sound treatment is so important. Yes, it is. You must learn or train your ears what to listen for. Hanging blankets surrounding your area in a smaller area is better than nothing. Start there. And you may have to get creative with the space that you choose. I know a lot of people that take a closet in a spare bedroom or in their bedroom and convert it, because the hanging clothes being in there is not a bad thing either. That is definitely dampening of the sound traveling around in the room. You just want to make sure that what's behind you, above you, below you is also treated. Because if you have hardwood floors or something, that's definitely going to cause an echo. Same with the ceiling, right? And the walls behind you if you're sort of facing into the closet. So just really think about where you're going to set up shop, so to speak, for your audiobook narration, and just take a look at what's around you. Even if it's just a small little corner of a room, you can create what Anthony Pica calls a hobo fort, I think is what mentioned earlier, with the PVC pipe and moving blankets, where you can sort of fit together sort of like a PVC cage, for lack of a better term, or an armature, right? And then hang moving blankets or something around it. If you're traveling in a hotel, you could just throw Although I don't see you carrying around a PVC cage around with you while you're traveling, but beside the point, you could throw a blanket over it to reduce the echo and stuff. So that is one way to do it. Or if you have the ability to get to buy a booth, like a used or a brand new Whisper Room Studio Bricks, a booth would be super ideal, but not everybody has the capital for that. I certainly didn't in the beginning. I just took over a spare storage room in my house and converted it into a studio. So it is rather small and it works well being small because there's less room for my voice to travel, and everything in here is treated. So yeah. Learn Audacity says there should be an option in that poll of kind of. New house is scheduled for April, winging it until then. Well, that's cool. Congratulations on the new house. Yeah, winging it. Yeah. And that's tough too. I've Anthony Pica actually was just in a similar position late last year, maybe, when he's renovating his house that he had just bought. So he had actually set up his VO studio in his truck. So he had, his truck all with, I think he had like acoustic foam in there and his mic. It was pretty cool, but you got to do what you got to do, right? While you're in between dedicated moving spaces, people get pretty creative with that stuff. Janari's here. Hi, Angela. Hi, Janari. How you doing? Shannon. Hey, Shannon. Good morning and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Happy Valentine's Day. Doctor 24. Hi. Hello. Thanks for being here. Elizabeth says, happy Valentine's Day, Angela and fellow Angelaites. I keep upgrading my equipment from my VO earnings, and my last purchase was a shock mount for my mic, which is a game changer. Absolutely. If for those of you that don't know what a shock mount is for your microphone, I don't know if it's kind of off camera. Well, you can sort of kind of see let me turn off Elizabeth's comment here so you can maybe kind of see the edge of it here. But instead of the mic being mounted directly to my mic arm, it's in sort of a cradle that has that sort of moves. So it keeps the mic steady. So if I was to jostle the desk, right, instead of the vibration going into the mic and then you can hear the vibration or the noise in the microphone, I mean, you would still hear me hitting the desk, but the vibrations would not reach the microphone because the shock mount absorbs those vibrations. So it'll definitely reduce noise, right? If you have like a low hum, like a truck passes by outside, that kind of thing, or if someone's walking around, it's meant to absorb vibration. So your microphone won't pick that up as much. But yeah, I love my shock mount for sure. Randy Carpenter says, do I need to worry about the air noise coming out of my ceiling vent? I know there are ways, depending on which DAW you have, there are plugins that will reduce noise. I have personally found that I sound better. The end result sounds better if my air conditioner or my HVAC system is off while I record and then I edit while it's on. That's typically what I do. But I know there are ways to like surgically remove noise, but any kind of processing or effects that you're using afterwards could potentially reduce the quality of your audio file and the way that your voice sounds. So I'm always thinking just to remove the root cause, right? Instead of applying effects or plugins to fix something, I'll just figure out what the root cause is and remove it, if that makes sense. So to answer your question, there are effects and plugins that are meant to reduce noise, but I have found that just not recording while the noise is happening is the best way to go. That way I don't have to try to potentially screw up the sound of my voice trying to remove it later, right? But I would say, yeah, consider how much noise it makes and if it affects your noise floor. And if it does make too much noise, consider recording while it's off and then edit while it's on. To answer your question. Jean Holt. Hi. How do I see the room noise level? All I can see goes down to 50. Depending on which DAW you have, like if you have Adobe Audition and you have it open on your screen, you have a volume bar. Sometimes it's at the bottom, sometimes it's on the side. But if you right click on that volume bar, you can select how much of a volume range you can see, right? So you can usually, mine is set to up to negative 72 dB. So I can see everything from negative 72 all the way up to, 0. So if you can adjust that, you might be able to see the noise floor that you're looking for. Hope that helps. I don't know if they're all the same way, but for Adobe Audition, just right click it and then you can change it that way. Jason says, good morning from somewhere in Mississippi. Happy V-Day. Happy V-Day to you. Good morning. Shannon says, an agenda book. That's a really good idea. Yeah, simple, right? We used them when we were, back in the day for school stuff. I know I did anyway, but it really does help. I mean, I know there are desktop applications and reminders on your phone. There's all kinds of technology to do this. But I have found that if I have something open in front of me that I can write on and make notes on even, if someone were to email me and say, hey, are you available this day? I can quickly just go, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. And I put them on my agenda book and it's open in front of me. So I don't have any excuses to miss anything, right? I don't have to go into my calendar. I don't have to rely on a reminder. It's right there in front of me all day long. And I can see what needs to be done and make notes on it too, because I often do that. But yeah, just a pen and an agenda book is all I need. And it has helped so much. Facebook user, let's see, who is this? Matthew Russell. Hello, Matthew. Hi, Angela. Would you know of any shortcut to finding a voice coach for someone who narrates children's stories? For someone who specifically narrates children's stories, I think most audiobook narrators will do just about every genre, right? Some of them won't do spicy stuff, but most of us do a little bit of everything. I would say if you find a particular narrator that you really enjoy, as far as children's book narration, reach out to them and see if they do any kind of coaching for children's books. I find that a lot of voice actors are, as you know, this industry is very warm and welcoming and supportive of each other. So you might just find that they might say, hey, maybe we can meet on a Zoom or something, and maybe I'll, help you out as best I can. Or maybe you'll discover they are also a coach and they can help you in that endeavor. But I don't know if there's any shortcuts to that. It's just a matter of doing a little research and see who does what and who you like and who you want to learn from and who you'd be comfortable learning from. As you know, I do mentoring, but I don't do specifically children's books. I have done children's books, but not specifically children's books. I hope that answers your question. Grant. Hi, Grant. How you doing, buddy? How long after getting into audiobooks did you start doing commercial, VO, e-learning, etc.? Very shortly after. I started in audiobooks, but I think a few months after, I think at the same time I was doing my very first audiobook, I was doing like IVR phone messages. I did a short animation for somebody that I found looking for talent on Craigslist. I mean, I was doing both most of the time. I don't do a whole lot of commercial work. I do more of the e-learning, the longer form stuff, but it was pretty much all around the same time. And I've been doing both ever since. But if you're looking for that stuff or go get it, go out and find it, join some of the pay to plays, Fiverr, Upwork, Guru, start marketing yourself as an e-learning narrator, make some connections on LinkedIn, and reach out, do some, some email marketing to some of these people that make e-learning programs, right? And see if they're looking for new talent. There's a lot of ways to go about finding this kind of work. You just really have to put in the work to find it. There really aren't any easy buttons for anything, right? Chris VGL says, I'm finding that I love the plug-in Waves Clarity VX for unwanted noise. $30. Well spent for those struggling with noise. Don't let the noise stop you. Just do it. Go record something. Yeah, just do it. Go record something, right? Just do it. Yeah, Clarity VX is a good one. I'm also a big fan of NS1 on Waves. It's also a very good one for reducing noise and keeping your dialogue somewhat mostly intact, right, without affecting the vocals too much. Those are both really good plugins, both well worth the money to help with to keep your noise floor under control. Mary says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, Mary. Good to see you here. Mary says, I cannot do punch and roll. Same, sister. Clicking is my 100% go-to and helps me to cut down my editing at least 50%. Well, that's great. I'm glad it helps. Yeah, I know clicking, a lot of people don't like it because they don't want to have to go back through the file again and remove the retakes and all that stuff. But I find myself, I know myself. I know I would go back through it anyway. So even if I was coordinated enough to do punch and roll, I would still be going back through the file anyway to make sure that all my cuts sounded right. So I'm just going to do the clicking method anyway because it's just easier for me, right? And then I often find that if I'm having a hard time getting something out, like I'm doing multiple retakes and stuff, then if I do the clicker method, when I go back through and edit, I find that I have multiple takes to choose from. So I might find that the second take was better than the last take, and I'll use that one. That's another reason why I use the clicker method, but do whatever works best for you, right? Whatever you're more comfortable with is what I would go with. Oh, I just got a super chat. Who is that? Sean Lester 007. Thank you so much, sir. Have you ever gotten frustrated enough with the poor quality of a client's scripts that you dropped them even though the money was decent? Yes. Yes, I have. When I have a client that sends me a script that looks like it could be like roughly Google translated and maybe doesn't obviously from a different language, right? Translated roughly into English that doesn't really work for the English listener. I'll reach out to the client and ask them if this is the final draft. If they say yes, then I'll say, would you like me to offer you my proofreading services for this? Meaning that I'll go back through and maybe add, change, omit a word or two to make it flow a little bit better for the English-speaking ear. You could do that. But yes, I have definitely been in that situation. And it's never easy, but I mean, I can put up with a lot, right? I'm a fairly patient person, an understanding person. But if it comes to the point where you're not comfortable doing it anymore, then yeah, then ultimately it's your business. So do what you feel is right for your business. But thank you for the super chat, Sean. I appreciate you. All right, what time is it? Okay, we've got about 45 minutes left, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes left. I do have a meeting here shortly, so if I can quickly get back to where I left off. Thanks again, Sean. Grant says, please explain pay-to-play sites. I've been sticking to ACX right now, but I've heard the term. Could you also tell us some of the sites out there? Grant, pay-to-play sites are sites where you have to pay a membership fee in order to play, meaning audition. For example, there is voices.com and voice123. Those are both VO casting sites. You are allowed to have a free profile on these sites, but you cannot audition. You can see the jobs posted, but you cannot audition unless you are a paying member. So therefore, you must pay to play, right? There are literally over 100 different VO casting sites, freelance marketplaces, places to find voiceover work. I had a list on my old computer and I couldn't find it, but there are literally over 100 of them. For instance, there's, just to name a few off the top of my head, there's Voice Jungle, VoQuint, There's Voice Bunny. There's Voice Giant. There's, oh my God, voices.com, Voice123, Badalgo, Guru, Freelancer, Fiverr, Upwork. I know there's a bunch that I'm not even thinking about right now, but there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them, but I would not just put all of your business eggs in those baskets. I would also definitely market yourself using social media, let people know that you're there, right? Maybe consider marketing with emailing and stuff like that, targeted emailing, not spamming. But Anthony says, good morning from Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Good morning. Thanks for all you do. The dog clicker is a great idea. Yeah, and they're super cheap too. I mean, I think I got a packet of 2 of these on Amazon for like, whoops, maybe no more than $5, maybe. You know, they're not that bad. And they last a while. I even have my very first one. You guys will get a kick out of this. This was the very first one I ever bought. I wore the clicker straight off of it. And it doesn't even really even click anymore. But I kept it to remind myself how far I've come. So this is clicker number 3, I think. I wear them out. Robert says, afternoon, Angela. Do you use a CRM? I have a CRM that is part of my Wix. I guess I bought one. I have like this whole like package, this awesome package through Wix that keeps track of everybody I email market to and that sort of thing. So I don't have one that's separate. I just use the one that is available through Wix, who I have all my website stuff through. But there is a CRM that is specifically for voiceover actors that is called VoiceOverView. So go to voiceoverview.com. And that is specifically made for voiceover talent. But of course, you can use whichever one that you want to. If you're more familiar with one versus another, then use that. But if you're looking for one, definitely check out voiceoverview.com. And no, this is not sponsored. I've just used them before. Joy West says, hello, Angela from Chile, Michigan. I sent in my first Upwork commercial audition after I properly edited through my DAW. I was nervous, but I punched fear in the face. So proud of you, Joy. And that first one is definitely hard, right? Because you just sort of don't look and you click the submit button. But I'm proud of you. That's hard to do. But you got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there. So happy for you. Good job. Keep going. Robert says, well done, Joy. Absolutely. Well done. Jessica says, hey, Angela, how many auditions did you have to submit before you started getting paid audiobook work? Been trying recently and it's been tough so far. Thank you for all your awesome advice. Keep in mind that this is a business. And as with any other business, it's a numbers game. So the more auditions you submit, the more jobs you may win, right? And it also comes, you also have to think about that you have to be the right voice that the client is looking for. So if you don't get a job, it might not necessarily be something that you did or didn't do, right or wrong. You just weren't the voice they were looking for, right? So the more auditions you submit, the more opportunities you may just get to do a job. So keep auditioning, audition a lot. I think in the beginning I did, and mind you, I was still employed full-time and stuff. So I didn't do a whole lot because I wasn't trying to overwhelm myself, not knowing what I didn't know, that if you did get more than one book, you could just schedule them appropriately to get done. But I did maybe 3 to 5 a week, I think, auditioning. And then I think within the first month of auditioning, I received my first audiobook offer and then auditioned again. And then I had, I think, two job offers for audiobooks. So, and I've seen it go both ways where somebody will audition like twice and get both books. And then someone will audition for 50 books and maybe get one after 50 auditions. So it's kind of hard to say, but it's, obviously the more you submit, the more opportunities you may have. So I would say if it's been tough, just keep going. just keep going. You'll come into that perfect, intersection of finding the right book and the right person looking for your voice, the right voice, and you cross paths and you go, hey, let's make an audiobook. So just keep going. Just stay positive and keep going. JCCAOL says, hi, Angela. When it comes to audiobooks, do you prefer fiction or nonfiction? I think they both have their benefits, but starting out, I think nonfiction is more practical. I personally prefer nonfiction. I like to learn. I'm a big nerd. I like information. I like to learn things, autobiographies and biographies and educational content of voice. I really like that stuff. I think that is my preference, but they both do have their benefits for sure. I think it comes down to just preference, right? But I don't think I've ever turned down a book unless it was something really spicy, maybe. But I've done my fair share of those too. Brad D says, hey, Angela, what is the best way to tackle mid-chapter point of view changes? The author I'm working with has these in every chapter, some up to 5. You mean as far as how to separate the point of view changes? You can leave up to a 5-second pause. You can leave, that is allowed for Audible and most of the other platforms, up to a 5-second pause. So what I'll do between point of view changes, especially if you see like, dots or like dashes to separate the passage of time within a chapter, I'll usually give that a good 3.5, even 4 seconds to show that there is a separation in time or maybe even a change in point of view. So leaving a nice longer than usual pause will separate those nicely. I hope that makes sense. That's what I typically do. Chris VGL says, at Joy, congrats, good vibes. Absolutely. Terry says, my recording space is my closet. I think I need to work out how to VO standing up without fighting with the coat hangers. Punch them back. Yeah, that might be a challenge. And there's nothing wrong with sitting either. If you can build it out of the closet where you can still sit comfortably, because again, standing for an entire audiobook might be a challenge. Audiobooks take time and sitting may be more comfortable, but if you find standing works better, then that's cool. Do that. But yeah, the coat hangers might be a problem. Joy says, thank you to Robert and thank you to Chris VGL. Pamela says, cut up pool noodles can soften sharp corners or cut them in half. Spray adhesive and glue to cut up sheet. There you go. Pool noodles. I've seen pool noodles used for a lot. What was the other thing I just saw pool noodles used for? It'll pop into my head as soon as we get off this live. But yeah, get creative. Use what works, right? Fleischman Media says, I would recommend mounting the shock mount to the wall, not the desk. It's going to drive you crazy every time you bump the desk, leaving artifacts. This can be a problem if you stand while narrating. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I did not have a arm to mount to the wall, nor did I think of that initially. I've always used a desk mount, but I have enough room away from my desk where I don't bump it, but that it's definitely a good point to point out that having a wall mount or a floor, well, I don't know even about a floor mount because you do, well, I guess if you have a shock mount, it might not pick up the vibrations from the floor, but whatever your situation is, I would recommend using a shock mount for your mic, regardless of whether it's wall mount, desk mount, or floor mount. It's definitely going to help reduce any kind of vibration or artifacts. Ronaldo says, good afternoon, everyone. The best material to build a whisper room is OSB plywood, especially for a custom-made door, and the moving blankets, total perfection. Yeah, there's actually quite a few YouTube videos that go through how to build and soundproof or sound treat a home-built studio. I would totally do that. I would love to build my own studio. I don't have the room in the house I'm currently in. It's very small and compact. So there's not a whole lot of open space, here. I was lucky to have this room to commandeer for this purpose. But yeah, thank you for that, Ronaldo. JFree906 says, hello, Angela. It's a marvelous day in the VO world. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day for a neighbor. Robert says, treated area. I created a halo made out of 1-inch PVC piping hanging from the trusses in my mobile home with moving blankets. I'm on an acre of land, so no near neighbors to worry about. Oh, that's cool. So you just have something coming up above you in a circle, and then you're within that circle or the halo surrounded by moving blankets. There you go. That works. So cool to hear what everybody's doing. Joy says, computer planners are cool, but I'm old school. Same, sister. I love my planner, and I can have it in front of me to write in. Same. I don't want to be like super reliant on technology, because you never know when power is going to go out or Wi-Fi is going to go out, or, God knows what. But to have something tangible in front of me that I can touch, feel, write on is more preferable to me. Call me old school, but that's just what I prefer. So yeah, same. Plus you can write on it. You can put some notes on it and stuff. Remember things that you tend to forget. Marcus says, hello there, Angela. Hello. Any thoughts on how to approach YouTube content creators as a VO for collaborations? I've heard of some other people doing this. I think what you could do is just find a channel that is maybe using AI and reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed you're using an AI voice. Would you consider a voice actor who could give this a little bit more emotion? And what I would do, though, is maybe figure out what a common, like, per script word count and then your fee for each. I would have like a bulk discount in mind, because these guys are going to be volume buyers, right? Volume. So you might want to consider like a per script up to X amount of words sort of an offer to go to them with. Have a price point in mind before you approach them. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just approaching them and just, don't be stalkerish about it, but just say, hey, I really like your content. And I thought maybe if you would be open to even considering it, here's a demo of my voice of maybe one of your videos, just so you can hear me. And I can do these for you for X amount of words for X amount of dollars. And, I don't know, it might work. I've heard of other people doing that. I've never personally done that, but do it and see what happens. Tell us what happens. Come back and give us the skinny. Phoebe says, have you ever offered services as an editor on ACX because the script quality was so poor, or would that violate their rules somehow? As an editor on, if you receive a manuscript that looks like there could be a lot of errors grammatically or, misspelled words and things of that nature, I would reach out to your rights holder immediately and ask them if this is the final draft. I've had a couple situations where a rights holder had sent me the wrong manuscript. They sent me like a totally unedited copy. So first and foremost, ask them if they had sent you the final draft. And if they did, ask them if you would like to, or if they would like you to proofread it. I have that service offered on my Fiverr audiobook gig, and I've had a few authors take advantage of that as just a final set of eyes to catch anything and everything that doesn't make sense, because you are literally reading through it the entire time. So if you catch something, then you can let them know and correct it on the manuscript. So then they in turn can update the manuscript for their print or Kindle copy, right? So yes, I have done that, not directly through ACX, but you can just make sure that you're paid accordingly for it, right? Because that's not like an ACX service. It's an independent contractor, which is you, service that you're offering the rights holder. But you could definitely do that. Oh, Sean, I'm so sorry. I must have missed this one, but thank you for this additional super chat. I don't know why it's been weird today live. Nothing seems to be going perfectly smoothly today, but thank you for the additional super chat. Where do I purchase one of those clickers? Amazon. Amazon. I think if you're on my website, I have a VO Gear tab, and that is like a whole page of equipment and just like this voiceover sign behind me. Everything that I've used, the moving blankets, they're all there. So all you have to do is just click the picture, and then you go to like an affiliate link for me, of course, but you just go to the thing on Amazon and purchase it there. And then I get a little bit of a commission. But I do have the dog clickers there. I have recommended microphones there, headphones, everything that I talk about is basically there. And the agenda book that I use is also there. Not to mention some of the other books to read that I recommend are there. But Amazon, or you could go to your local pet store and probably find them there too, depending on whatever's easier for you. But it's just a dog training clicker, you know. Now, where did I leave off? Kirk. Hi, Kirk. Indeed. Hi, just checking in. Again, won't be there on Thursday for Platinum. I have a performance. We'll break a leg, Kirk. We miss you, but totally get it. Hopefully, nothing will interfere with the following week. Happy VOing to all. Indeed. I love the way he says indeed. I always make him say it. Joy says, Angela, is Voice123 a good site to find voice acting work on? I would say all of the sites that I have mentioned, I have been on. I don't do a whole lot of auditioning on those sites, so I'm not super active on them. But I think if you mind your P's and Q's and you audition a lot, I think they could be good places to work on. Although, as with any other platform, you may come into some situations where you might have to fight to get your money. But I think that the same could be said for just about anywhere that you're doing business, right? But I would say any of those sites would be good places to find work on or to audition on for sure. You never know when you might find like a big one that sort of just makes you, right? A video game or a movie trailer or something that you just end up, you're super proud of, the thing that makes you think that you're there, that place where you wanted to be, right? So definitely check them out. Check out all of those sites, but make sure that you read the fine print on those sites, meaning what you have to pay, how often you have to pay it, meaning that some of them have a monthly fee, some of them have an annual fee, some of them have a quarterly fee, some of them are biannual, some of them take a percentage of the money that you make, sometimes both an annual fee and a per order fee. So just make sure that you read and understand how they are paid, how they get their piece on each of those sites. But I think they're all definitely worth checking out, and using if you choose to. Joy says, the mighty Amazon has those dog clickers, or you might get lucky and find them at your neighborhood dollar store. Oh, your really dollar store? I didn't even think about that. They could be, yeah. That's a good idea. Thanks for that, Joy. Michael V says, did anyone else's stream freeze? Yes, it did some weird, like, buffering thing. Internet's being really weird today. There's a lot of weirdness going on in the... Yeah, those darned UFOs. I'm telling you. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Mike says, hello all from sunny Arizona. Better late than never. Well, it's not very sunny today in my part of Arizona. It's a little overcast. Just don't want to see any of those big nope clouds. If you know, you know, right? Elizabeth says, quick file question. How long do you hold on to your raw audio files after you have delivered the completed audiobook files to the rights holder? I hold on to the raw audio files until the book is done. The rights holder is happy. ACX has gone through their quality assurance. It's out for retail. People are buying it. Then I will move all my files off to external storage. But I keep those raw files until it's done, because you never know when a revision or an adjustment, a noise floor or something is going to come up. So then you're going to have to go back to that file. Or if the client has a revision to make to that raw file, you want to go back and fix a word that you mispronounced perhaps, and then have that raw file to, then reformat and adjust and then give them that. So, but yeah, once it's done, off for retail, then I move them all off to external storage. just to be on the safe side. Chris VGL says, just a random thought. Be careful on audiobook short reads. AI written audiobooks are mass sent out and may have already been published. AI written books are filled with copyright issues. That is definitely something to consider. I think it's something that we're going to have to add to our list of questions to ask rights holders before we take a job. I think it might be obvious, I don't know, but definitely read through the script, look at it, the manuscript, before you take on the job. And maybe that should be one of the questions we ask going forward with AI, right? Is this an AI written book? Are you the rights holder? Do you own the rights to this book? Are you the author, publisher? Do you own the rights? But yeah, definitely something to consider for sure. Good point. Annie says, I got my clicker for free from my local Humane Society. There you go. There you go. All right, guys, I do have a meeting coming up. I do have to run. I want to say thank you again for everybody who spent some time with me today. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a fabulous Valentine's Day. And I will be here next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you have an extra moment, please feel free to leave a review. We'll see you next time.